All right. Visitors part, Mr. Carr, you test something out?
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one here that's gonna say anything.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, this is, what you have in front of you is Old Saybrook's chapter in their Plan of Conservation Development on economic development. And the planning and zoning is working very hard on a plan of conservation development. We've worked very hard with the Cecil group to come up with plans for Unilever. I mean, in that, you'll find some things like in Old Saybrook, they say that ideally 70% of your tax base is residential and 30% is commercial and industrial. 85% of theirs is residential. So they have as an objective to have a higher concentration of commercial and industrial going forward. We've got to find out how successful they've been. But I guess the point is, John has said about the current Morgan site that it is the most valuable commercial parcel in Clinton. I believe that's correct, isn't it?
I believe so. Right, that's available. The other Richards one might be equally as valuable.
But certainly its place on
Sure.
you know, on 81 and on off of 95. So anyway, I guess the thing is that I've taken a very strong position. I'm probably the only one that has taken it on planning and zoning, but I don't believe that having 50% of that site residential is in the best interest of Clinton. I believe that the rule of thumb is that residential returns about 70% of its tax income, and commercial returns about 130% of its tax income. So if you're looking at the bottom line, I would just say, okay, so what happens when you have 50% residential and 50% commercial? And you look at the bottom line, not what comes in, not just the revenue that comes in, but what's the net of it all. Net is zero if you use those factors. So that's why I've been opposed to it as it's proposed. I think you'll get the other votes you need with the changes that are going to be coming down the pipe. But I think the shots have been taken at planning and zoning by the first selectman have been unfair, incorrect. You know, every tyrant has a scapegoat. For Hitler, it was the Jews. For Obama, it's Wall Street and the 1%. And for our first selectman, it appears to be planning and zoning. And it's not fair, and we ought to put an end to it. I think this ordinance that you're considering is misplaced. It's a misshot. You're going to have a public hearing. I think you'll hear from a lot of people that agree with me on this. But it's really, I'm very disappointed that you voted unanimously in favor of this. It should have been tabled. You should have had some time to think it over. Anyway, and I mean, this is the kind of work that's being done by planning and zoning, and it deserves to be recognized.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to address Kirk for a second. Kirk, unfortunately, the 4 people that we interviewed, all of them said to make it work, they needed the residential, percentage. Some were a hair lower, but they've actually all come back after we've sent it back. They were all higher, but they were all very blunt. To make it work, they needed that residential percentage. And unfortunately, everybody unanimously voted for that and went forward. And I just think it was, the planning and zoning had plenty of time before our vote and when it was brought to them to address this concerns. And there was 2 major members of planning and zoning that could have brought this up during any of this year of meetings, and I think it was just kind of more and like an end around when the vote happened at planning and zoning. We just all thought that everybody was on board for what was proposed. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, or I don't know about the numbers and how it works out, but this is what the 4 people that came to us and gave us proposals said, that we need this residential piece of the puzzle to make it work. And all of them did. It wasn't just, one guy, the guy we picked, that said we need this. The other guys had the same exact type of layout. And it could just be the way the world is right now, and maybe in 10 years, maybe it would be all commercial. But right now, if we want to be ready to move forward when the school's ready to move. I think we have to do what these guys, you know, they're all professionals, have done this before, and I think we have to go with what they have so there's not crickets over there. I mean, if we did all commercial and no one's in it, it really doesn't matter. So it could be, you know, you want the guy to be successful as much as you want tax revenue. You know, if it might not be as much as we all want, you know. Sure, we'd like all have the tax revenue we get from the mall, but if it's not gonna work right now or in the 2 years when we're gonna move, I think, you know, it would have been a worse situation. It'd be better to be even than in the hole. So I do believe it's a very valuable piece, but it's not like there's not gonna be any commercial stuff there, you know, and you hope that those people, you know, generate, you know, that buy things and come to restaurants and move some stuff around town. It's not just they hang right at that place and get off the exit, go to their little house and leave. You hope that, you know, that they mingle in town and try to, you know, but I understand your concerns. I just think the way it happened at planning and zoning, it was just, at least on the committee, not this board, but the committee that, for the interchange, I think we were just surprised because it wasn't really brought up at, you know, when we put it forward to go to the P&Z. I don't think it, you know, if it was brought forward and we were arguing or discussing it for the last 3 months beforehand, then I could see it. But it was a unanimous vote and everybody at the table knew it was going forward. And then we get there and, you know, it could have been a, you know, the guy could have walked. So I'm not saying it's totally planning and zoning's fault or whatever, but I think it should have been brought forward a lot sooner. We had plenty of time. It's not like we did this in 2 months or something like that. It was a whole, at least a year.
Yeah, I think the delay on that was unfortunate. The other thing I'd say is we had, I think, 3 public hearings on it, and I don't believe anybody other than the 2 people who were on planning and zoning from the interchange said anything. There was nobody from the interchange committee. I know Willie didn't come.
What were we gonna say, that we were in favor of it?
The development, well, we could have asked you some questions. Like we could have said.
Well, you could have asked, planning and zoning could have asked the 2 members, you had a chair and vice chair.
We can't have ex parte communications. I mean, there's some issues there. The place that we have those hearings are public hearings. And we could have had that discussion.
And I actually think our meetings were public.
Yeah.
You could have came with your, you know, watched every one of our interchange. The
Well,
only ones that would have been is when we were voting on the thing, when we were in executive session. Other than that, you were more than welcome, or anybody at planning and zoning could have seen what we were up to.
Right, but what you have to realize, and I think Willie knows this, having been on planning and zoning, that there are only certain conversations that we can have. The place to have those conversations are in a planning and zoning public hearing, where we can have that discussion, that exchange. But I think when you have 50% of the most valuable commercial property, you have 10,000 acres of property in Clinton. More than half of it is residential already. You have 700 housing units that are unoccupied. So you're going to have a glut of housing, okay, and you're going to take what is the most valuable commercial piece of real estate, and in the end, have negligible net benefit to the town of Clinton. And that's my concern, and I've had it from the beginning. If you ask Anselmo, he will say that when we had these discussions in planning and zoning, that I've been consistent in raising it.
I don't think it's going to be net zero, but I really don't.
No.
But it's going to be far short of what it could be. I guess that's
Well, part of it is they're not going to be like 3-bedroom things. It's promoting families and stuff like that, putting kids in the school system. I think they're going to be more 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom max, which, you know, you might have some offset for kids going to school and so forth, but, you know, it's not like you don't want people coming to town. It's not like you don't want people going to school. I understand it's expensive to put kids through school, and that's why 55 and older, they get approved, you know, developments, but that's not how you grow a town.
No, of course not, but the thing is that, let me say it again, you've got 10,000 acres, over half of which is already residential. You have 700 unoccupied residential units. And
I go back to the thing, no one was going to come forward and buy it if they couldn't have this.
We only had 3 actually. All at that time, we only had 3 developers come to the table, so no matter how valuable we think the piece is, we only had 3 people come to the table.
Which was a surprise, I think, to everybody.
We were all shocked.
It's all market driven, I would imagine. So, you know, if the commercial component should have a larger footprint, I would think the
And
developer.
regardless of the 700 available residential units in town,
Yeah,
it looks like the push coming forward is gonna be for more residential. There's another residential development that's coming up down on Beach Park Road. So somebody knows something, I mean, with market studies and this and that, where it's coming from.
Well, I don't see, any of the data that I see does not show any increase in population for the town of Clinton. It's flat to down, that's, you know, the Census Bureau is projecting it down. So what you're gonna do, if you build more housing units, and if you fill them, then you're probably gonna see,
Well, it matters what
More-
housing units you build.
What you're attracting.
Right.
I mean, if you can build, certainly if you can build more valuable housing units, that's good, that builds the grand list. But at the same time, if you're not seeing an influx of people, then you've gotta figure out where these people are coming from, they're gonna fill, you know, how does that all work out?
I
Do you
think
have
John's
any
point.
information on the project across from Shirley's there, if he's got
He's
tenants?
got tenants he's got
Oh,
retail
yeah,
tenants.
he's got some.
those are beautiful buildings, aren't they? Yeah, they really are.
He's very smart, he's not doing anything.
No, I didn't think
He's not
so, but-
overextending, he's gonna take care of those two buildings
First
before he
units,
goes in.
fill those, move
Then
them
move
back.
on. He's not gonna do like our cousin did up the road there.
But
Cousin did.